Boom! What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Happy Sunday to you all, and welcome to another live beer review. So today, we're going to be taking a look at another one from, I would say, one of my favorite breweries down in the state of Texas. Of course, they're well known with coming out with some crazy style of fruited Berliner Weisses, fruited sours, stouts, IPAs, you name it, they've done it. But today, we got another fruited Berliner Weiss from these guys today. 903 Brewers, they're out of Sherman, Texas, and they're doing some great stuff over there. They have some really, really unique kind of flavor profiles when it comes to the beers. Sometimes they make some a lot of the times they make fantastic ones, but there's some times where they've had some that they've come out with that haven't been for me, and that's just what it kind of comes down to be. But today we got one called the Vanilla Ice Cream Cherry Pie Slushy, and look at that, they got a cherry vanilla ice on there. I think it's a pretty nice touch. I thought this label was pretty dope when I saw it, so that's one of the reasons why I picked it up. But it's a 6.2% ABV fruited Berliner Weiss, and it's made with sweet cherry, tart cherry, lactose, vanilla, pie crust flavored, and pie crust flavored Berliner Weiss style ale. So I'm expecting this to be thick like a smoothie, have a lot of loads of like a nice mix of tart cherry and sweet cherry. Hopefully, maybe the sweetness comes from like a maraschino kind of style of cherry, but the tartness, when it comes from that tart cherry, is definitely making me expect it to be having nice tartness to it, which cherry is always a good element to add to like a sour ale to create tartness, just because there's a lot of sour cherries out there to where it kind of adds like a fermented kind of funk to it as well, just because a lot of barrel aged kind of sours use cherries in it as well, just because it works really well together. So I'm not expecting that crazy like barrel aged kind of style of cherry, but I'm expecting a very like a vibrant, almost refreshing tart cherry along with the nice sweetness. Maybe get a little bit of that pie crusty kind of flavoring in there, getting like a breadiness almost to it, or maybe like a graham cracker kind of note. I'm not sure, but yeah, I'm excited about this one. So of course, when drinking this kind of style of beer, when it comes to anything that's heavily fruited or like a Berliner Weiss or a fruited sour kind of thing, there's like always a couple steps that I want to kind of reiterate a little bit when it comes to drinking this style of beer, just to create your overall drinking experience to be fantastic, because you don't want to be drinking this kind of style of beer and it be like a mediocre drinking experience. So always the first thing I'm going to recommend is whenever you buy a beer like this, keep it in the fridge. There's anything that has a lot of fruit puree in it, you always want to keep it refrigerated, just because if you don't keep it refrigerated and starts to get room temp, that fruit is still fermenting inside of the can a little bit, so it's going to create CO2 in the can, and then you'll notice like if you grab the can, you can't feel a little bit of like a give to it if it's just like friggin' like hard almost to squeeze. Then you know there's CO2 building up, and you're going to most likely want to open it over the sink. So with this one, there's no give. There's definitely give to it, so you can definitely tell there's no like added CO2 from fermentation from the fruit in there. But first off, keep it in the fridge, like I said. And another recommendation, a lot of the breweries actually put this on the can itself. I don't think Okay, yeah, so it says it on here. So always says turn it over, like have it upside down a little bit every once in a while, just because all that sediment in the fruit is going to be stored at the bottom after it's been sitting for a while. So you want everything circulated. You want everything suspended in there so you can have an even pour, not have it separated on you. So, of course, my recommendation, when you take it out of the fridge, just give it a couple rolls on the counter, get everything moving. You know, it's always a big recommendation to do that. But what I do is when I'm taking it to wherever I'm going to drink it, I store it upside down, because I want all that stuff that's been sitting down here to move up to where I can have it even pour when I pour it into a glass. So get everything moving, and you want to have that nice, thick, even pour throughout the entire experience of you taking out of the can and put it into a glass. So be drinking this guy out of my Whistle Punk glass. I always like using these different kind of styles of glasses when it comes to fruited sours, just because even though with style like this, a lot of the times this part right here is meant to have all the sediment in there, and sometimes a lot of places want you just to drink it all the way down to here and then leave all the sediment, because that's where you're going to get a lot of like the more, it feels like an IPA, but if there'd be a lot more bitterness or be stored right there. But I just like using this kind of style of glass when it comes to sours and all that stuff, just because it's a nice presentation and all that. So without further ado, let's crack this guy open and see what this thing's all about. I'm going to see what it's like on the nose. Oh yeah, definitely getting that tart cherry up front. It almost has that like fermented kind of barrel-aged sour kind of cherry smell on there. But I'm not expecting it to be too overly tart. I know there's going to be a good amount of tartness to it, but yeah, it smells delicious. I'm definitely mostly getting the tart cherry up on the nose right now. I'm not really getting any like the pie crust notes coming through. But yeah, it smells delicious. I always like cherry in my sours, so without further ado, let's pour this guy and see what this thing's all about. Oh yeah, she's definitely pouring thick, that's for damn sure. So once I get about halfway, stop there, give it a good swirl, get everything else moving, and then finish the pour, because that's where all the thick stuff that was sitting starts coming out. You're definitely getting a thick pour coming through now. And look at that. Nice, dark, like a deep, almost purplish red kind of color to it. A lot more like, has a lot more carbonation than I thought, but you can see all that stuff moving through there. And just, okay, so the tart cherry notes, like that fermented kind of sour cherry, kind of went on the back note a little bit after I poured it. Definitely getting that like more of like almost like a cinnamon bakery kind of note coming through as well. Yeah, it smells absolutely delicious. So without further ado, let's give this guy a try. So, cheers everybody. Happy Sunday. Yeah, it's fantastic. Really, really bright, vibrant cherry flavors. Definitely getting the nice mixture of sour cherry and sweet cherry, which is done really, really well. It's not too sour, not too sweet. Definitely getting like a little bit of a bakery note in there. It's definitely helping add like a creaminess to it, I think, when it comes to like whenever a brewery comes and adds like flavoring to create a pastry kind of style of it, like when they're recreating a pastry crust. It always helps to give it that more of a heavier mouthfeel. Definitely is thick like a smoothie, and it's delicious. Absolutely delicious. Definitely, even though the pie crust flavor is a little bit on the back burner, I wasn't really expecting like just an upfront, you're tasting pie crust. I wanted those cherries to kind of speak a lot. Having that nice mixture of tart and sweet cherry is always something that I'm going to look for when it comes to somebody making like a cherry pie kind of one. You want to have a nice tartness along with a nice sweetness as well, because you don't want it too tart, just because then with the tartness overwhelming, you're going to be not getting the notes of the pie crust in there. You're just going to get tart cherry in your mouth. No, this is a really nice mixture of tart and sweet cherry. The cinnamon, like almost like graham crackery kind of note is coming through on the back end, but it's not too overwhelming. So overall, it's pretty damn but well balanced. I'm really surprised at how well balanced this one was. I wasn't really sure if the pie crust flavor was going to come out enough. But yeah, that's delicious. Absolutely delicious. Definitely has a nice tartness to it. On like a tartness rating out of 5, I'd give this like a 3.75 out of 5 for when it comes to a tartness scale. So giving you guys a heads up, this definitely is going to have tartness to it. It's not going to be more of like the sweeter kind of Fruita Berliner Weiss that some breweries come out with, where it's like you're drinking a freaking like a dessert smoothie. But let's go over to your 2 Untapped, and of course this one, I don't know what it is. I think it's strictly 903 that has done this, because I think most of the time whenever I look at a beer from 903 on Untapped, when it comes to similar beers, they always have the same 5, which like the ones from Dry County and the Beer by Bacon Bros, which I'm not going to talk about any of those. I'm kind of tired of seeing them in the similar beers list. But looking here and seeing, so looking at their, let's see, pie crust flavoring with similar beers, I could probably recommend anything from the Slang de Jour line. From Drecker is always a good option. Who else? Maybe RAR makes some decent stuff that would kind of be in that kind of pie crusty kind of realm, adding that kind of more of a desserty aspect to it. Of course, Hoosier Brewing Company in Indiana makes some pretty good stuff that kind of would be in this similarity. But when it comes to looking for something that would be similar to this, look for a Fruita Berliner Weiss or a fruited sour with cherry. You might get similar notes in it, like a barrel-aged sour with cherries in it too as well. If you're looking for that nice, vibrant, dark cherry, you're just going to not get the same kind of like thick mouthfeel and kind of having that like smoothie like mouthfeel texture to it, because with those ones, going to be a little more carbonated, going to have a little bit more effervescence to it, but then it's not going to be as creamy, but you're definitely going to still get those same like cherry notes coming through. So overall, this beer was really, really well done. I'm actually a little bit surprised in how well they did this one. I wasn't really sure, like I said, if there was going to be too much of one kind of cherry and not have the kind of sweet cherry notes that it needed, but I think it's overall really well balanced. So let's look here on Untapped. Of course, in the description, they say it's a 6.2% ABV. And with over 555 ratings, this one has an average rating of 4.05 out of 5, which is pretty damn good. And the description on tap shows here is pretty much what I read off the can. It's sweet cherry, tart cherry, lactose, vanilla, and pie crust flavored. So, yeah, all those are pretty good aspects to each other. It kind of has some reminiscence of getting a slice of warm cherry pie, putting a scoop of vanilla ice cream over it, and just enjoying yourself, which I'm not really getting a lot of the vanilla, to be honest. So the vanilla's not coming through and being like a note that I taste by itself. It might be intermingling with that kind of sweetness that you'd be getting from that slight pie crust flavoring, along with that kind of sweet cherry, just adding a little bit of a bump of sweetness. I would have liked maybe a little bit more of like a little bit of vanilla added, just a little bit more to kind of up that sweetness and kind of balance out the tartness just slightly. But overall, the recipe I think is done pretty damn well. So looking here on Untapped, I don't think I had anybody on my friends list check this one, and no, I didn't. So let's look and see what the global ratings on this guy are. So, like I said, with it being a 6.2%, I would definitely consider this something that's in like a sessionable realms where you can have like maybe like 1 or 2 and still be fine and all that kind of stuff. Once it starts, you having like beers that get up to like the 7.5 over, a little bit over, getting towards the 8% realm. That's where I would kind of take it out of the situation of being a sessionable beer. So let's look here. This guy gave it a 4.25. Check in on Tavour, which is how I purchased mine as well. Another Tavour purchase saying tart sour cherry with an overlay of cream vanilla. Lovely combination. Yeah, so that's what this guy's getting. So it's definitely the creaminess is kind of coming through the vanilla and the pastry kind of notes to it. So let's see. We got another 3.75 here saying solid. Enjoy the flavors as they progress. Yeah, so definitely. I don't know if this is, since I'm still at the beginning of drinking it right now, I'm not sure if maybe the flavors are going to kind of enhance and change a little bit throughout the like the temperature changing and all that. Maybe with it kind of warming up a little bit, the tartness of the cherry is going to come through a little bit more. Maybe you'll get a little bit more of the creaminess of the vanilla adding through as well. But let's look down here a little bit more. This guy gave it a 3.5, saying the cherries are pretty tart and the ice cream adds a nice balance, but I feel it needs more graham cracker and cinnamon flavor. Yeah, I would kind of agree with this guy, to be honest. Even though I really do enjoy it, I would have liked to see a little bit more of that kind of pastry kind of flavoring a little bit more, maybe a little bit more of the vanilla. Who knows? Once, like I said, if this thing gets a little bit warmer, some of those like tart cherry notes might kind of come through more. Maybe the pastry notes might come through a little bit more. We're just gonna have to wait and see. But he gave it a 3.5. This guy gave it a 4.25, saying yum. What else? We got another 3.5, 4.25 purchase off Tavour, another 4.25, another 4, another 4. Rocks in a glass like a vandal. Yep, this is definitely one of those kind of beers that it just looks great in a glass. I mean, look at that like almost purplish red kind of color to it. It's just thick. You can see all the heaviness in there. Just slight. Even the carbonation at the bottom is moving slowly to get to the top. That's how thick this one is. So overall, the thickness in the mouth feels definitely a plus for me on this one. So let's start trying to figure out what we're going to be doing on our end here for our ratings. I think I poured the rest of it in there already. Yep. Okay, so can art. First of all, 903 definitely enjoys kind of creating some very, very unique can art. They're not like the art that you would see from Drecker or all that kind of stuff or RIR. But 903, depending on the style of beer, depending on the name and all that kind of stuff and the ingredients they add, they kind of go on a theme with this one. So with this being like vanilla ice cream and cherries and all that stuff, they made vanilla ice out of a cherry, which I think is a really nice touch, of course. Adding the little font stuff in the background, it looks like they're trying to kind of create almost lyrics for the style of beer, which I think is a really, really nice touch. So having all that stuff in the background is a lot of detail. Definitely love the vanilla ice cherry kind of reference on there saying vanilla ice cream baby. So it's overall, yeah, this label is very, very nice. I'm a fan of it. So I'd give this a solid 4.25 out of 5 for cat art. Really, really cool. Definitely something that would catch my attention for sure. So let's see. If I got this beer and a flight at 903 Brewers right now, would I get another one? To be honest, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm a really big fan of, like I said, I really enjoyed the nice balance of tart and sweet cherry. Even though I would like to see a little bit more like that vanilla kind of pie crust flavor come through a little bit more, maybe tone down the slightness, like the slightly tartness of the tart cherry to there, have a little bit more of that sweet cherry kind of speak forward a little bit more, just because if you're having a cherry pie, it's definitely going to be more of a sweet kind of cherry flavor, especially with that kind of aspect. But overall, I think they still did a fantastic job. So with my final rating coming up on this guy, I think I'm going to give this a solid 8.25 out of 10 with this one. If you want to get your hands on this one, I'm not sure if it's still available at 903. I don't think it is. They have a couple of the slushy ones that are in rotation right now over at 903. I know they have a strawberry cake slushy. They still have that collaboration they did with Drecker, which is the blueberry crumble, which I definitely wish I could get my hands on. Let's see. Some other slushies they have available over there. They got the bougie berry, forbidden fruit slushy, the yippee ki mother slushy, and they still have a couple Christmas themed stuff on there, like the slush actually Merry Christmas slushy full, and then they have the cotton headed nitty muggin slushy as well. So a lot of the slushies they have available over there are still kind of in that Christmas theme. So the Merry Christmas slushy full might be something in there, but it's like because that one is like a cherry pineapple one, so you may have like similar profiles in this one if you can't get your hands on this one. So maybe that one would be something that you'd like and pick up. But overall, yeah, their selection, what they have for their slushies over there right now, it looks pretty damn good. So if you're over by 903 or you can get stuff from them, keep an eye out. Maybe, who knows, this one might come back in rotation eventually down the road, and when like maybe spring starts coming around, when cherry pies start being for sale and all that stuff. So other than that, yeah, I think that's pretty much what I have for you guys today. So thank you everybody in chat for hanging out. You guys are amazing. If you haven't already, please hit that like button. It would help me out a lot. And if you're new to the channel and like what you see, make sure that subscribe button and the notification bell. It will let you know whenever I go live do another review. This coming week, reviews are probably not going to be happening just because work, and then I'm be leaving to be out of town on Thursday most likely, so I won't be back till the following week. So this is going to be the last one for about a week or so. From me for you guys, but I'll still be checking the beers and just drinking beers so on Untapped, so you can always look over there and see what the hell I'm drinking. I would love to see what other people are drinking as well. But if you can't find anything from 903 in your area, or if you haven't gone to your local liquor store and asked them if they can carry it, big recommendation I can always recommend is getting yourself onto Tavour. It's a great platform. You can go to their website, which is down in the description below. They'll lead you directly to the App Store. It's available on Android or iPhone, to where you can kind of either do a subscription-based thing to where they send you random beers per month, or you can do like a build-your-own box kind of thing. If you're in like a more kind of suburban area, you have a better chance of getting stuff from Tavour shipped to you, just because they're out of Washington State and they take advantage of like local courier services. Is why some of these like more rural areas can't get stuff delivered to you from them. So when you create an account, they'll let you know right away if you can get stuff delivered to you from Tavour. So you just kind of got to download the app, and just when you create your account, they'll let you know right away. But 903 drops on there pretty often with some awesome new stuff. They're always showing up down there with new kind of beers and all that kind of stuff. 903 is doing some really, really fun stuff over there, which I can't wait and kind of see what other kind of stuff they do. But other than that, I think that's pretty much it. I think the last thing I want to say, of course, if you're a craft beer fan and you're not on Untapped yet, if you're somebody who very frequently is on social media, Untapped is a platform you need to get yourself on. It's a fantastic little service to where you can download that on Android or iPhone as well, or you can even use it through your desktop, and you could check in beers, get badges, all that kind of fun stuff. It's just a really, really fun time. You can see people like me, Kentucky, Duchess is on there, Ian, Face Meat's on there. A bunch of us are just checking in beers, getting badges, all that kind of stuff. It's a fun time. Really, really fun time. So if you haven't shot me a friend request on Untapped yet, the link to my profile is down in the description below for you guys as well. But I think I'm going to end this like I always end it before we get the hot here. If you're going to drink responsibly. Don't drink and drive. And I'll see you all next time. Cheers.